Hello and welcome. This is Breakfast All Day. Welcome to my new lanai. I'm Matt, and Alonzo is in a new room because it's hot and he finished his book.
There is one air-conditioned room in this house, and dang it, that's where I'm going to be sitting.
Alonzo has joined the gay biker gang. Alonzo, are you now in a gay biker gang?
I am a roadie for Quarter Flash. Why did it be a gay biker gang? You know, I hang out with all kinds of people, including miscreants like you.
Exactly.
But yes, Matt moved his house, and I finished my book, so it's been a busy week, but we're back.
Matt, how'd the move go?
It was one of the hottest days of the year. We moved from a hot part of the valley to a very hot part of the valley. We are in Northridge now. But it's nice. As you can see, I have a pool. These are hibiscus bushes over my shoulders. I've been in the pool every day since we've been moving. This is my outdoor workspace. And so when it gets too hot, I just jump in the pool, and I have a mesh office chair so I can just sit and dry off and keep working.
Nice.
It's been great, actually. Fortunately, the air conditioner works in the new house, which is necessary.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been pretty good so far. It's been too hot to go anywhere. Also, 16-year-olds are terrible at helping unpack and do anything. One funny thing, too, was as we moved, as the movers packed up all the stuff in the trucks and drove over here, I stayed at the old house. I was cleaning stuff up and getting the trash out and kind of making sure it was all ready to turn back over to the landlord. By the time I got here, the movers were almost done, and there had been far less direction given to the movers as to which boxes go into which rooms than I had kind of expected.
So it was chaos?
It was a little bit of chaos. It was a little bit of like, oh, now we have to, before we even start unpacking, we have to move a bunch of boxes around. But that being said, it's pretty good. Sabrina is very anxious about the new house because we've moved into a new place.
Sure.
And so far, she's marking everywhere. Yeah. Also, poor Sabrina, she's got this pinched nerve in her back. So in her lower back near her hips. So she has trouble squatting down to do her business. So yes, she's marking in the house, she's peeing and pooping in the house. But she's having such trouble squatting down now that at this point, as soon as she eats, she just turns around and as she starts walking out, she's dropping little poops like she's going on a bombing run.
Poor sweetie.
Poor baby.
Poor little dog. Also, she does not want anything to do with the pool yet.
Does she swim? Do you know if she even knows how to swim?
So we got her in the pool once, and she was not digging it.
She was freaked out by it?
She wanted to get out immediately.
Oh.
And part of it is we probably did it too early because it's the new space. But so now if I'm in the pool or we're all in the pool, she kind of just looks. The only thing that gets her close to the pool is that I got a thermometer that's got a little pineapple float on it, little plastic, rubbery pineapple, because of course. And that she really wants. That she thinks is her chew toy. And so she'll go over to the pool and consider whether or not she can get that floating thermometer, which means that oh God, now I have to make sure she doesn't jump into the pool and drown, which we have to do anyway.
Oh, get her a little swimming vest.
Or a
we have one,
little floaty raft, maybe,
We have the little swimming vest.
Oh,
cute. Matt's holding up a cute little pink and orange swimming vest. Very cute.
That's adorable.
Good. Okay, so Matt, that's you. Alonzo, you finished the book you're working on.
Yes. I'm working with the guys who do the Deck the Hallmark podcast, and they've been doing the show for 2 years. So at this point, they have reviewed more than 100 Hallmark Christmas movies. So I kind of took those reviews and chopped and channeled them down to sort of book size. So it's sort of like picking up the Malton Guide or something. It's their very funny reviews of all these Hallmark Christmas movies, plus tips on throwing a Hallmark Christmas party and fun quotes from actors and writers and directors from Hallmark movies they've been talking to over the years. So that's going to be coming out in fall of 2021 from Running Press. And I work best with deadlines, but unfortunately, I tend to really still procrastinate. So that last week is just crazy runtime, but I did it. It's done. It's submitted. So I'll be getting notes soon, and we'll go from there. But the hardest part is over.
That must feel so good to have that all done and turned in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What did you do with your week off?
What did I do? Well, I tried to work on my book proposal, which is still not fucking done. But my goal is to have it done this weekend before school begins for Nick, which is next week, which is online. Gotcha. So I don't have to take him anywhere, but it's, what did I do? I watched movies for the book. I don't want to talk about what the book's about just yet until it happens. But I had to watch movies for it, obviously. And so I did a lot of that. And I ran at the beach.
Nice.
That's what I did. I took my kid to surf.
The beach was sitting there like, come at me, bro, and you ran at it.
I did. It's been really weirdly foggy at the beach. Like you can't see the ocean at all. And it's very strange. So, but things are kind of getting normal. Although, you know what? The hockey rink just closed down again where Nick plays hockey. They opened it back up again with all kinds of distancing and protocols. And like we as parents couldn't even go inside the rink. We had to like bring him there all dressed in his gear with his skates on. And he would walk down the stairs to the surface. And an employee and a customer both tested positive. So now the rink is closed again. So it's, we're never going to go back to school. We're never going to go back to school, even like with increased distancing and all that. Somebody still got it.
Just ask Notre Dame,
Just ask the Sisters of Pi Beta Phi sorority at Oklahoma State, where 23 members tested positive. And so they have now shut that down. I mean, I have so many friends who just shipped off their kids to college. I have all these smiling pictures from dorms from SMU and Tulane and Loyola.
UC Boulder.
Right. Pace University, like smiling faces in the dorms. And it's like, enjoy it for 2 weeks until you all get sent back home again. So
yeah, Gabe started school this week and he's at home all week.
Yeah.
So he's back to doing school online like he was at the end of the year. So
and we all will be. I mean, all of LA County will be until there's like a 14-day stretch where they're below these certain standards of transmission, and who knows how long that will be. So we have other news. The big news, though, speaking of people waiting in line to get COVID, movie theaters opened this weekend. Thursday night was the beginning of it, and then now more so in earnest. AMC did this thing on Thursday where they were offering 15-cent tickets to go and see some retro movies, and then a bunch more theater. I think Regal opens today. Again, not in Southern California because we're one of the 33 of the 40 million California residents are still in counties that are like hotspots. So we don't have movies yet.
And I don't know, do you have the New Jersey story lined up to talk about that's related to that, Christy?
Oh, I forgot about that. So the New Jersey is what? They're suing to close the theaters.
Yeah, the judge told them they couldn't, right?
Right. So the judge supported the state in saying to the big three that were suing, no, you have to stay closed because the cases are still too high.
So our good friend Lindsay Barr, who has my old job at the AP, who is an AP film writer and critic, she was back home in Pennsylvania, and she went and did a first-person story on what it was like to go back to her theater on Thursday. And people were in masks, and they only had the auditoriums filled at 30% capacity. And one thing that was weird in her story, which is different from what I had seen elsewhere, was they said it was cash only for concessions, which makes no sense. I would think they'd want a card because it's less hand-to-hand transmission.
Yeah, I mean, money is filthy under the best of circumstances, but like that you would want to be passing that back and forth doesn't seem like it makes any sense at all. Apple Pay or at least a credit card in a machine. The machine can be wiped down. The card can be wiped down, whatever,
Well, you like stick it the chip in, and then no one has to touch anything. You just stick the chip in or whatever. And if there's like a wand, I guess
but then you have to touch, right.
Wand.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fraud. You know what it is? You sneak your own Skittles in. That is what
there you go.
There should be somebody outside with like little tiny paper bags of popcorn. Like, hey, want to buy some popcorn? So,
I gotcha.
So theaters are opening up again, and in other countries that are not the United States, Tenet is starting to screen for critics, and so we're starting to get the early reviews of Tenet in. And I need to just like block that word from my Twitter for a while because I don't want to see anything. I mean, the vague glimpses I have gotten of early word on Tenet are, it's the masterpiece you wanted it to be, or like it's good.
I've been trying to avoid reviews myself, but yeah, I've if anything is sort of permeated through the filter of film Twitter, it's either it's incredible, it's good, but it's too much, and Elizabeth Debicki is reduced to playing the girl. That's pretty much all I've got, and I've been trying to avoid it. Yeah, you're right. I think I'll see if I can mute that word as well. But like, yeah, the Wrap, you know. I did get contacted by Warner Brothers because they didn't know that I was furloughed, and I was like, look, tell your bosses that like y'all should have put this movie out to 2021. You're gonna kill us all. But then they were like, no, but then they were like, you know, we're probably gonna have screenings in London. Who can you send? So I told the folks who were still at the Wrap, like, hey, these are my London guys, and so Nicholas Barber went and reviewed it for us, and I'm not reading it until I can.
No, I mean, and they haven't even begun to have the vaguest glimmers of conversations with us here in LA and in the United States about screenings.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, who knows? But as we see, there are theaters in places that are opening new movies because we're going to talk about Unhinged later on.
Yeah.
You know, and so,
Cutthroat City is opening theatrically this weekend exclusively as well.
Right. And that's not just drive-ins that we're talking about. Although I know, well, I think the closest theater to us that's showing Unhinged is in Las Vegas, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
I mean, in a theater, because we have a theater in California yet.
But, well, because Cutthroat City is playing at the Vineland.
Right. So drive-ins are still showing.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
But the thing is,
I wouldn't.
Sorry, I didn't mean to kind of, but for the last couple of months, what the deal has been is that, like, yeah, the drive-ins around here are doing really good business with movies that are also premiering on streaming. But this is the first weekend, I think, really since everything shut down, that we're seeing movies that are exclusively going to the drive-ins and not available via streaming yet.
Unhinged is not going to stream.
Yeah, ditto Cutthroat City.
Yeah. It's strange. I'll be very curious to see how long theaters can stay open for. You know, it's been 5.5 months at this point.
And if any major studio is going to, like, canary in a coal mine one of their bigger releases like this, or if all of that stuff is going to either stream or stay shelved until things get back to relative normal.
Right. Well, like the much beleaguered New Mutants supposedly opens next week.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, tickets have gone on sale. I think in some, you know, for the online ticketers. So. Right.
But then Disney just gave up with Mulan and just said, "Okay, here you go. So on September 4th, we'll have Mulan for you."
And did you see the piece in Screen Crush where the director of New Mutants was like, "Oh, I think people should go to theaters." It's like, do you now?
And then NATO, not the, you know, like the international,
not the North American Treaty Organization.
Yes, NATO,
National Association of Theater Owners.
That acronym, yes, they have issued some theater protocols. Matt, do you know about these?
I saw that they did. I hadn't read into them that closely.
It's masks and distancing, and you know.
There's at least talk about the air conditioning, which is, I think, a big issue that isn't getting talked about enough because. Did you guys see? Did we talk about this last time, or is it since we last worked together? The piece in the Atlantic called Hygiene Theater, where basically
we didn't talk about it, but I saw it. Yeah,
all these places like movie theaters and churches and restaurants that are a problem because of the airborne nature of this virus are making this big show of, look, we're wiping everything down. And it's like, well, that's great, but surfaces aren't really the issue here. It's about the air, you know? And so at least the NATO statement on their list of many things, they did talk about air conditioner filtration, because I think that's essential here, because unless you're at a drive-in, once you get inside and you're dealing with climate control, all that circulated air is carrying shit. And we've seen early on when they were like doing legit contact tracing, maybe in other countries, but like there would be people at a restaurant and it was because who was downwind and how the air was circulating and stuff. So,
you know what it's going to be is it's going to be like Spaceballs where they have the little cans of Perry air. No. So you can bring your own air around.
Right.
That's what you should sell outside the theater instead of popcorn.
Right.
Because if you're at a movie theater and you have a mask on, you still can take your mask off to eat your popcorn.
Only in the auditorium and presumably only facing the screen. So everybody's looking in the same direction.
Some assholes behind you munching and breathing on you, right?
What if you got...
Yeah, but they're breathing on the back of your neck and not your face. I don't
you got a big
know.
funnel?
I ain't going.
I'm telling you, what if you got a big funnel that you could like put on your and dump the? No.
Fill the mask with popcorn and
It's confusing.
Feed bag.
Exactly.
So also, Alamo Drafthouse is opening a bunch of their locations this week. Not in California, of course, but they're doing free Bill and Ted's screenings. I think we haven't talked about Alamo Drafthouse because that happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, there was a big article in a Kansas paper about how basically after all the big talk, after the, Devin Faraci stuff and the what's the Ain't It Cool News guy?
Harry Knowles.
The Harry Knowles stuff, that there was all this talk about, a change in dynamic and we're going to make this more, employee friendly and Nope. A lot of the same crap is still going on with the League family and the Alamo empire.
The second Tim League brought Devin Faraci back to write and didn't tell anybody, like the fact that he did it on the down low, he knew that he was going to get blowback. League knew it was the wrong move. Try to help his buddy out. And the thing is, like, League needed to have stepped down from that company when it happened, right? But he didn't. He's still around. And
he went on this listening tour at the time, remember, and made a whole big deal about how he was promising to do better and listening to people and and per this article, that is not happening.
That's his hygiene theater.
Exactly.
It's total theater. It absolutely is. Right? I mean, the thing is, like, when a company that's supposed to have a certain attitude and stand for something the way Alamo does, a lot of that comes from the people at the top, right? And so, sure, League will say, oh, yeah, I'll go on this listening tour. But it's like, yeah, I'm letting you talk. I'm not actually going to do anything. It's theater. You're absolutely right, Christy. I mean, that dude should have stepped down years ago, and he still should be completely uninvolved. Like, yes, he's not running the day-to-day as CEO. He's doing, like, special projects, like as if they put him out to pasture. He's still, his influence is absolutely still there, right? And unless and until they get rid of him, you're going to see this come up again.
And a reminder, they're not just the Alamo Theaters, they're also Neon, the distribution company, and Mondo.
Yeah.
And then what is Birth Movies Death them?
And yes, Birth Movies Death is also them.
Okay. So yes, we will continue to follow this. Along those lines, in a very weird story, veteran studio mogul Ron Meyer has been forced out at Universal.
I have not had a chance to catch up with this one, so tell me the details.
Okay. The story with this is that it's the same kind of thing that happened to Kevin Tsujihara at Warner Brothers with the same exact person. It's this young actress named Charlotte Kirk. Also
Wait, it's the same?
Yes! Have you guys not read this?
No, tell us everything.
What?
She tried to shake him down for money. She had an affair with him and tried to shake him down for money. And it was around the same time she was doing the same thing with Kevin Tsujihara at Warner Brothers. And so he was going to become public. And so 75-year-old Ron Meyer, who's been in this business for decades, had to step down as he has some like executive like ex officio kind of status with Comcast Universal. He wasn't so much in like the day-to-day.
So I'm confused. She wants to blackmail these guys. They say no, and so then what? She comes forward and says, "I had an affair with these guys." Like I don't.
Yeah, with the help of two different directors. This is the accusation is that two different directors that she had been involved with tried to shake down both of these studio executives for money. That with Kevin Tsujihara, she was pushing for auditions. She's pushing to get parts.
Right.
She had a couple of small roles. She was in.
Well, she was getting somebody's parts.
But it's just very strange. And then the New York Times reporter who wrote the story also wrote on Twitter that a spokesperson for her said that she would have more details available if the New York Times could pay her for it.
I heard about that. She would only do interviews if somebody paid her. So I'm confused though. Like, so this isn't a Me Too story. This is an extortion story?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's look it up. Charlotte. Yes. Okay, here's a report. Hold on. In the Daily Beast.
And I mean, does she think she's going to have a Hollywood career now? I mean, I can't imagine anybody is going to want to be anywhere near this person.
Chris and I were just talking about that. Like, who is going to hire this person now? Hollywood exec Ron Meyer. Really? So here, the Daily Beast today just has this. Just this morning, Hollywood exec Ron Meyer paid actress Charlotte Kirk $2 million for silence on affair.
Wow.
Yes, a 2-week affair, according to the LA Times, actually. The LA Times reported this first. He was ousted from the network after revealing to the company he was allegedly being extorted by 2 film directors over the 2012 affair. They had romantic encounters over 2 weeks. She signed an NDA, and then he paid her $2 million in 4 installments.
But now that he's coming clean about this, like, can the directors be prosecuted for
That's
anything?
a good question, right? So they are Neil Marshall and Joshua Newton are the people who were supposedly involved.
Wait, Neil Marshall, the Descent Neil Marshall?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
Why is that exciting? Why is that exciting?
Because he's like a director I've heard of. Like, I had never heard of Charlotte Kirk.
Descent's a good movie.
I assume these are like people who couldn't get ahead in the business, so they had to like resort to this kind of chicanery. But he's like a genuine, like, working filmmaker.
Anyway.
Speaking of descending, we've heard about the director of The Descendant, right?
Alexander Payne.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, right.
So the story with that was for him and Rose McGowan. I don't know all the details.
Yes, Rose McGowan is saying now that when she was 15, that he basically like showed her some softcore Showtime movie that he had made pseudonymously, and then had sex with her, and then like dropped her off on a street corner somewhere.
And how old was he at this point? Not that it matters. She's 15. Out of curiosity to know the difference.
He was already a working director. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But anyway,
think it was like late 20s, something like that. Yeah, I mean,
she had previously alluded to like some major Hollywood person who had had sex with her when she was underage, and now she's coming forth and saying it's him, and basically saying, "I'm not here to destroy you. I want an apology." And then, has there been any follow up to that? Has he said anything? I haven't heard.
Let's look right now while we're on the air. Alexander Payne. Anyway, she wrote, there's a series of tweets that Rose McGowan wrote this week. So if you go and look back at that, you'll see what she's saying. It's messy. Other stuff to talk about. Steve-O. Do you see the Steve-O story from this week?
No.
Steve-O duct taped himself to a billboard to promote some TV show he was doing, like a billboard in Los Angeles. And
not his upcoming movie with Pauly Shore.
Oh, I don't know. Now I got to look that up. Do you want me to have facts at my fingertips, Matt? Do you want me to know information?
Okay, tell the story you do know, and then we'll try and figure out the one we don't.
Okay. Yeah. So hold on.
Was he wearing a mask?
I was busy. No, he was not. Steve-O taken down after duct taping himself to billboard. He was promoting his new comedy special called Gnarly, which is currently available to stream on his website.
Okay.
And he says he wanted to emphasize a team of real professionals rigged everything safely. There is zero chance of me falling. It's important to me that we not waste any valuable city resources on this.
Oh, I'm looking up Gnarly. I'm looking up Gnarly on IMDb, and apparently the shtick is that he is duct taped to the side of a truck traveling from Vegas to Colorado.
Okay. Well, anyway, he didn't want there to be any city resources spent on it, but an alert from the LA Fire Department said that 21 responders were dispatched to the scene, which it called, quote, an apparent behavioral emergency.
Okay.
That is exciting. So, yeah, there are pictures of Steve-O just hanging out.
All right.
So we have that. Ben Affleck is back as the Batman, you guys. You pumped about that?
Thank God.
Batfleck is back.
Sure.
Batfleck's back. All right.
Backfleck.
So this is really confusing to me because we now have multiple Batmen, right? Because, like, Robert Pattinson also is a Batman.
Right. Well,
is he not?
Yes, but I mean, here's the thing. Like, the DC movies are clearly not necessarily all operating in like, Joker is not in the same universe as like Justice League. So I guess the Batman is also not in the same universe as Justice League, whereas Affleck is going to play Batman in the Flash movie, which is in the same universe as Justice League.
What was this James Bond movie that came out the same year as Never Say Never Again? Right? Because remember, it was Maybe, right? Because it was Connery and
Roger Moore both had a new one out, yeah.
Both had one at like pretty much the same time.
So here's a question, though. Do we now need to rename the Robert Pattinson movie Batman instead of the Batman?
No, I think it's
Batman #1.
I'm the Batman, bitch.
THEE. He's Megan the Batman.
There you go.
Maybe it's Thy Batman, THY.
Yes. Anyway, so that is happening. He was much maligned as Batman. And I know it was a really tough time in his life in terms of his substance abuse and his mental state. So maybe now that he is sober, he feels prepared to go back and revisit this role. But I know it was a bad time in his life.
I barely judge him for that because I think the movies that he played Batman in just tended to be kind of sucky. So I don't think that's on his shoulders necessarily. So yeah, if he wants to do it again, sure, why not?
Yes. I mean, it's just, I'm not excited about it in any direction, but I know that others who care about these things are.
But I heard that he and Michael Keaton are both playing like alternate universe Batmans in this because it's going to be Flashpoint. Is that the deal? Do you know about this movie?
Oh, maybe so.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Flashpoint. So Flash is one of the characters. He can run fast enough that he'll jump between dimensions. And there's a whole Flashpoint story where something happens. He basically, like, he keeps the Waynes don't get killed, or anyway.
There's like these parallel worlds in DC in DC Comics. They would have like Earth 2 and Earth S and Earth 1 and Earth C, and which was sort of their way to try and keep their very complicated continuity straight. And so the idea of Flashpoint is that like Flash, in this case, who is Ezra Miller, will be able to run from like the world where Ben Affleck is Flash, or Batman, to the world where Michael Keaton is Batman. So
it's like Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have something
arguably
like Bat-Ham. Will there be like Spider-Ham? Will be like Bat-Ham?
There's Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew is as close as DC gets to that.
And there's also Bat-Mite, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's true. From another dimension entirely.
So the thing with DC is, DC would like start a new Batman story after Detective Comics had been going on for years, and they would just, start a new story in a parallel universe, so they wouldn't have to end the old one. Yeah. So over the years, there had been, at any given time, you might be having 2 or 3 different Superman stories running at the same time, and each story gets so soapy in that, like, you've got these cliffhangers and things happening. Marvel didn't really do that. Marvel has what they kind of like, the Marvel timeline is this, nothing happened really more than 10 years ago within the Marvel universe.
Right.
We've only within the last couple of decades started messing around with parallel universes. But for the most part, they just would, like, past a certain time period, everybody just acted like, well, that's 10 years ago, whatever. Right?
Or they would start a whole new thing like Ultimates, which was a separate universe entirely.
That was the first time they really got into the separate universe thing. But for a long time, it was just one universe, and they might do something where it's like they do the Heroes Reborn, where everybody gets reset, whatever. Like, everything was supposed to be in the same universe. So that was one of the big differentiators. And it got such a mess in the 80s that DC did this thing called Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was the storyline where
fix everything.
It was supposed to fix everything. This bad guy comes along, he basically wipes out all of the universes but one. And some of the heroes survive and some of them don't.
Because you basically had planets where, like, Batman was married to Batwoman. You had planets where Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman were villains. Right. So they had to just sort of figure out that was their way of kind of keeping that all straight. And they've revived that a lot in the CW shows. Because this all started in the comics with the Flash. The Flash was sort of like the first character who met his alter ego, different older version in another, in a comic book. And so on Flash, Supergirl, all those shows they now play around with this multiverse idea. And I think that's what they're doing with this Flash movie, because I've heard that Keaton is also playing Batman.
I apologize. And he should, because he is our Batman. He's my Batman.
Yes.
Apologies for the epic mansplaining that Alonzo.
I know. Sorry.
No. I mean, I don't know any of this stuff. This is good.
Welcome to the Breakfast All Day Comics continuity rabbit hole.
Anyway, so we will follow all the many Batman when they come out. Speaking of revisiting things,
I'm not going to bury another Batman.
Right, attorneys general. So there's going to be a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles remake with Will Smith and Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I don't love the original. I don't love the original so much that I feel offended by this. I'm like, sure, yeah, why not?
But I don't care. How do you make it happen? Because so much of why they have all these, problems is because they don't have the technology that exists today. I was
going to say, I think it is going to have to be set pre-cell phone because, yeah, it seems like, well, just get a lift,
It would just be called Ubers, Lyfts.
Exactly.
But I don't know. So I am not excited. I don't also feel strongly about it. I don't.
I mean, Kevin Hart often gets on my nerves, but he is still capable of surprising me. Remember how little we were looking forward to Central Intelligence, and that wound up being really charming?
Is that him and Dwayne Johnson?
It is.
Okay.
We talk about that, and both Jumanji movies are good, so I would absolutely watch The Rock and Kevin Hart in a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Absolutely.
That'd be cute.
Watching the rocket in and out of cars, I think, would be the interesting enough.
That's the whole movie.
There you go. We need to talk about this movie that's coming out on Netflix in a few weeks called Cuties. Have you seen the whole controversy with this?
Yes, I know about the controversy. I don't know what the actual thing is, though.
This is a French film. An 11-year-old girl who joins a dance troupe named the Cuties, and she becomes more aware of her femininity. And there's this whole controversy because the poster, as it exists on Netflix, totally sexualizes these girls, and they're squatting down with their legs spread, and they have a lot of makeup on. They look really alluring in a creepy way, and it's very different from what the original poster was for the film, which is just girls and they're wholesome. Here, I can show you if you're looking.
I'll put them together.
Yeah, I do. So it's very different, and so thousands of people signed this petition to get Netflix to change the poster, and Netflix apologized, but they said that they won't remove it, and it's going to come out September 9th.
They won't remove the movie. They're going to change the poster, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the movie.
Right.
Movie.
Oh, okay. So, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Now, I first heard about this yesterday because I guess there's a specific hell of having a teenager who comes to you raving about some bullshit story he saw on YouTube or Instagram. Last week, it was some whole to-do about Pokimane. Don't even ask. This week, last night, it was this Cuties poster. And all he'd seen was the poster. And he's like, they shouldn't even make that movie. And so I start digging into this, and yes, this is an example of somebody in marketing really fucking things up because they've taken these girls they've made a poster out of one scene of the movie where the girls are in costumes that look very similar to them. Mm. The movie is a French language film from a woman who grew up similar to the character in the movie with relatively conservative Senegalese parents. And it's about this girl, dealing with at 11 years old, the local girls who live nearby her who they have a dance crew, and she wants to be part of the group, and she wants to get accepted by the locals and fit in. And it, probably similar to that sketch series that Sashir Zameda does, the girl that's dancing and doesn't realize how provocative it is, like the young teen girl. And so this was supposed to be big at Sundance, and it's, related to experiences that this director's had. But so much of the hoopla, so much of the hysteria about this is just about the poster. And then people are like, I can't believe that there's a movie about girls twerking, and this movie has to. It's like,
it's a coming of age movie.
Yes.
Right.
It's just it was
Like,
marketed
yes.
poorly. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I knew this sounded familiar. Yeah, the Carlos Aguilar reviewed it for the Wrap out of Sundance and loved it and said it was really a beautiful kind of coming of age movie.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it. It comes out September 9th. Maybe we can get to it September 9th.
Oh, cool.
I was very sad.
Whatever.
To see
I'm not
that-
watching a movie about 11-year-olds twerking.
Get off my lawn. So I'm really bummed to see that
Get out of my pool.
Comedy Central has canceled Drunk History after 6 seasons.
Yes, and Tosh.0, which apparently they had recently renewed for a good chunk of time, but apparently what's happening is they are pivoting to adult animation, which seems like a really terrible idea somehow. But they're like, apart from Aquafina is a Nora from Queens, they kicked the other, like the live action shows they're still hanging on to, like the other two and something else, over to HBO Max. And then they're looking for new animated shows, which I guess in the pandemic makes sense. But like, boy, for every like South Park that hits, there are so many that just, which obviously same for live action, but to take a step to dump established live action stuff to make room for gambles on animated shows.
I do like a lot of Adult Swim stuff, but I think part of the allure of Adult Swim is that it's on
15 minutes.
late at night. It's fast, yes, but also it's like it's separate. Like it's a thing that happens at night and it's separate. And it's like
special adult time.
I like the Minions, but I don't like that whole movie about the Minions, right? Like I like the Penguins of Madagascar, but I don't want a whole movie about them. I think things like that in small doses are more effective. And if it's like wall to wall Adult Swim, then what's the point? Anyway, so
I really miss Cartoon Planet.
Oh, yes.
That was a good one. Do you guys remember Syphil and Ollie, the MTV show?
Yes.
Yes.
That was strange. Oh, did we talk about? We did talk about when they were going to bring back Beavis and Butthead, right? We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Yes, and they're doing a spin-off of Daria called, I forget the character's name, but she is Jody, who is the there were 2 black characters on all of Daria, and one of them was Jody.
Okay, well, I'm bummed about Drunk History because, it was actually informative, but it's so inspired, and there are so many movies, so many biopics that we watch now that we feel are like already the Drunk History version of themselves. So it's kind of entertaining to watch that. So that is a bummer. And then finally, my last little piece of news for you just broke this morning, and that is that Lori Loughlin and her husband have been sentenced in the college admissions scandal after being so defiant and so brazen and flippant about this for so long. They pleaded back in May. They got their sentences today. She's been sentenced to 2 months. He has been sentenced to 5 months. Massimo Giannulli. And so they have been sentenced.
When calls the big house.
Yes. But as you were saying, Alonzo, as you were looking this up before we began, they probably won't spend any actual time anywhere because COVID, but also.
Right. Yeah. That's the coverage I was saying was speculating that was probably going to be the case, and that if it is, it's going to be at like a very sort of medium security facility somewhere. But there's a lot of other stuff there. They have to pay a fine. There's like a year of, I don't know if it's house arrest, but sort of, probationary, whatever. And again, I don't understand. Celebrity parents already have so many advantages when it comes to getting their kids in school. I can't imagine they would feel the need to shell out to pay some guy to fake that their daughters were on the crew team or whatever. It's like they're already your kids. That gives them a leg up on a lot of folks.
Also, Olivia Jade didn't even want to go to college. She wanted to be an influencer. She is an influencer. She had a career path that she had forged for herself.
Right. And just slap your name on a new pool or something,
Exactly. That's the thing that we were saying months and months ago or a year ago. It was like, man, just donate a building like everybody else.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have for you. I'm done. It's been 2 weeks of news, but we crammed it all in.
All righty then. Well, thanks for watching. Sorry. Are we doing marquees? We should do those first.
Oh shit, marquees. We forgot about marquees. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm out of practice.
So sorry.
I'm so sorry, Matt. I jumped the gun. Usually we do marquees.
I'm gonna go get in my pool. That's okay.
And we got
I'll just go sit in my pool by myself.
I'm sorry. We got a bunch too. I'm sorry, friends. I'm
Let's
rusty.
see marquees. Yay!
All right, hang on.
They're in there somewhere.
Give me that share screen.
Okay.
Baby.
Okay,
So,
here we go.
This is the one that we are opening the show with, somewhat related to your story about theaters opening. This is a theater that is in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and setting their marquee up. Unhinged, rated R, Inception 10th anniversary, bathroom walls. I don't know what that next
That's
thing coming up.
words on bathroom walls.
No, I know what the movie is. I don't know what he's then doing after that, what he's setting up.
Yeah, SOM, I can't tell.
Yeah, who knows?
Song?
I don't know.
Anyway. It's not how you spell it. Anyway, so that's the one from the top of the show. And then let's see. All right, so this one was sent in from Beth Barber. This is the Parkway Theater in Minneapolis.
Love it.
Fu, thanks for wearing a mask, Julie Newman.
And they've had so many great ones at the Parkway.
Okay, next up, this is a picture from Brent Leuthold. I hope I pronounced that correctly, in Fort Wayne, Indiana. His dog's name is Ebert the Corgi, and has his own Instagram feed. Now, I want everyone to appreciate, because we all know how tall corgis are, the effort that one has to go to get a shot of a marquee and a corgi in the same shot, right? I am, I got to tell you, Brent, I am super impressed. That's a hell of a picture, right?
It's very cute, and Ebert's awfully cute too.
I was going to say, if y'all aren't watching this on YouTube, you're missing out on the doggy. Oh, the doggy's so cute.
He's a good doggo. With a great
They're all
name.
good doggos. All right, next up, CJ Cordova sent in a couple of pictures of the Redwood Drive-In Theater, open 7 days a week in West Valley City, Utah. Looks like they're showing, as you can see, movies all night, and then they have the swap meet still open. And then this week, it's not on the sign actually, but they're showing older films like Shrek and Grown Ups. And then this is the thing that says, when you go in, here's how much it costs, $10 per person, no animals allowed, keep your distance, remember 6 feet, don't drive anyone in through the trunk.
It says Cuidado, and that seems helpful.
Yes.
Oh, indeed.
Okay, next up, D.R. Martin sent in a couple of pictures of the Riverview. This one says, it's the quote from Dread Pirate Roberts, masks are terribly comfortable. I think that everyone will be wearing them in the future. And then, in order to find reality, each must search for his own universe, look for the details that contribute to this reality. A quote from Akira Kurosawa. So, yes?
I can't recall what city this theater is in. What town is this in?
This is the Riverview, which I think is also in Minneapolis.
I think so too.
I think it might be.
How cool is Minneapolis? Is it the best town ever?
Okay.
There? Come on.
So Geoff Swanson sent us before and after pictures of the Heights Theater. It's a revival theater in Minneapolis. And Geoff writes that he thought that Mr. Duralde had been there.
If it's the one that's by the Dairy Queen, I have, yes.
Okay. They are planning their socially distanced 80th anniversary of Chaplin's The Great Dictator next week. Here are before and after facade remodel photos. So this is the before.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Before it looks kind of plain.
And this is the after.
Very pretty.
Right? Nice brick restoration and the kind of Art Deco looking sign on top.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And they're going to show Blazing Saddles. Very cool.
All right, next up. G.P. Watson sends this. Had to pass on this marquee from our beloved Majestic Theater here in Madison, Wisconsin. Have many memories of seeing movies in this theater during the winter years ago and spreading a blanket we brought along across our laps. We knew and accepted that the old furnace would do its best, but was just not going to get the job done. And I guess they also show concerts there. It says, Dear Wisconsin, wear a mask, love concerts. Okay, our friend Mark Francis Dong from the Bay Area sent us another batch of pictures. He says, hi all, hope the move went well. Matt, yes it did, Mark, thank you. This is the Alhambra Theater in San Francisco. Sorry, no clever or witty marquee, just the slow demise of San Francisco movie theaters. It hasn't been a theater since '98, and Wag the Dog was the last movie it played. Though the last movie he saw there was the first Toy Story, designed by Timothy L. Pfluger in 1926, who also did the world-famous Castro Theater. At least the building was deemed a landmark status and saved, though he finds it sacrilegious that it's a gym. Movies are shown on the still intact big screen while you work out, and the projection room is a yoga studio. FYI, the front says love, fitness, happiness. And then the next one is the AMC Kabuki 8 in San Francisco's Japan.
Oh, I've been there.
I've been there.
I have too. I went and saw Army of Darkness there when I was in college.
I saw The Opposite of Sex back there. It had been like in the 90s.
He says this opened in '68 as a place to see live kabuki performances. In '86, it was morphed into SF's first multiplex and the performance space, now only showing movies. In 2006, it was rebranded and renovated, now serving alcohol, by Sundance Cinemas, but is now back as an AMC theater through various corporate purchases. I think the alcohol was next. Boo. That's his boo, also mine. A couple of boos for the booze. Just, stay healthy and sane, everyone. So thank you, Mark, for sending those over. Last one. This one's awesome and terrifying. Tim McCaffrey writes, I saw this and didn't do Twitter, or he doesn't do Twitter. I love your stuff, so if this comes in handy, bully for you. This was a picture he forwarded on from Albert Kiss on Twitter. It's the Strand Theater, and the marquee says, Mom, you were right about everything. If that's not a horror movie,
hands.
If I didn't, right? If that's not a horror movie, I don't know what it is.
We are right. Listen to your mom. We're always right.
That's it that's the marquees this week.
Those were great. Thank you. We miss seeing them, so thank you for sharing them.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And thank you for listening and watching. If you are watching and you're here on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We are revving up this week our recaps of HBO's much-discussed Lovecraft Country, and next week we're doing the Sex Cult show. What's it called?
Nexium.
No, but that's not the show. The show's not called
The Vow.
The Vow.
The Vow.
Thank
that's
you.
Right. Yes.
So anyway, lots of amazing stuff coming up there that'll be exclusive to our Patreon folks. So do check that out. Have a good week, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time. Bye.